Hello, namaste, sat sri akal, assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and watching the SNS Cricket Diaries podcast. This is me, Siddharth, and with Srinivasan, we welcome you all to another episode of the SNS Cricket Diaries. Last time, I think we discussed about the start of the World Cup, तो हमने काफी चीजें discuss किया, and we have got a lot of likes. So thank you so much for your support that you have given to us so far, and we hope that going ahead you'll continue to like our videos. So please do subscribe our channel, like this video, and do press the bell icon for continued notifications of our next episode. So hi Shri, how are you doing?
I'm good, Sid. Thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome there. And I want to welcome the audience again to our SNS Cricket Diaries.
It is great to see you with a wonderful mic there. So I think we are all upping up the level, yeah?
Hopefully, just to bring our passion to the audience. And we had a few views for our first videos. So I just want to thank everyone. And I encourage you, like what Sid said, please like and subscribe and share with your friends and your family as well. Because what we're trying to do is straight from the heart. There's nothing artificial about what we're doing, because we've been doing this, at least watching and enjoying the sport since our childhood. So thank you again for all the viewers and your support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone. So let's get started, Shri. So हमने last time discuss किया था about the World Cup and possible contenders and pitchers and the overall organization done by the ICC and the bcci. So now the World Cup has started. We had a wonderful match to begin the World Cup. That was England New Zealand, and which of course New Zealand handsomely won by 9 wickets. और कल एक match हुआ था between Pakistan and Netherlands, जो थोड़ा बहुत ट्रिकी था पाकिस्तान के लिए बिगिनिंग में, बट दे वेंट ऑन टू विन कंफर्टेबली एट द एंड. तो हम उसके बारे में बात करेंगे, और थोड़ा बहुत हम ऑफ कोर्स वी टॉक अबाउट द पिचेस सो फार, ऑल्दो Abhi, it's too early to comment on the pitches because just two matches have been played. Today, of course, Afghanistan and Bangladesh have also started their match, and Afghanistan would not be too happy with their performance. So we're going to discuss that a bit. But the big highlight of this show is the preview of the India-Australia game tomorrow that's going to happen, Sri. So let's get started, Sri. Your first impressions about the England-New Zealand match?
Yeah, what a blockbuster way to start. At least, when I say blockbuster, it was expected that England will play the way New Zealand did, and New Zealand will play, the way England did eventually. So, I mean, that was the biggest surprise, and that's why I call it the blockbuster. There's a big difference between the two of them. New Zealand coming up being the more aggressive party, playing the actual baseball. England थोड़ा अपने शेल में खेल गया, मतलब हो सकता है. It's understandable starting of the World Cup. It takes time to warm up, and but fair play to New Zealand for being aggressive. And we have a lot to talk about Rachin Ravindra and Devon Conway for sure.
Yeah, so absolutely right, Shri. अगर हम उस मैच समरी पे थोड़ा सा नजर डालें तो England of course batted first. They I think they made 282 for 9, and it was kind of a very sedate innings, by England, because generally they are known for going big right from the beginning and even through the middle. But हमने देखा कि बहुत सारे players के starts हुए, like Johnny Bairstow made 33, Harry Brook ने 25 बनाया, Josh Butler 43, but the only person who actually could go on to make a substantial score was Joe Root 70, who made 77. So Shri, Joe Root के बारे में क्या कहेगा यार, मतलब how do you think he played?
ना, जो रूट ठीक था. आई मीन अपने मतलब जो क्वालिटी है, उसका टैलेंट है, ऑब्वियसली ही इज जस्ट हेल्ड दैट इंग्लैंड इनिंग्स टुगेदर. आई मीन इफ दे रीच्ड 282 फॉर 9, उसमें जो रूट का जो स्टेबिलिटी है, दैट इज द मोस्ट की थिंग. इफ यू जस्ट लुक एट द स्कोर कार्ड, आई मीन आई वाज लुकिंग एट द स्कोर कार्ड. आई मीन हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव गॉन बियॉन्ड 100 strike rate nowadays? Strike rate is equally important even in one days, right? So I mean, I was just looking at the scorecard. I mean, Bairstow 94, you got David Malan 58, Harry Brook was 156 strike rate, but he scored 25. And then I think Josh Butler's innings was good as well. He scored at around 102 strike rate, and he made 43 with 2 sixes and 2 fours. So I think Joe Root was the glue, as you expect him to be. And going forward, if England has to do better in defending the World Cup, Joe Root has to perform the way he is, holding the innings together. Harry Brook Joss Butler, Bairstow, Malan, they will have to do the baseball approach.
Yeah.
अगर वो अपना नया तरीका बरकरार रखेंगे तो फिर इंग्लैंड अच्छा खेलेगा. Concerns about their bowling थोड़ा सा है. We can talk about it.
Also, Harry Brook, Shri, what would you like to say about his innings? Do you think he got carried away a bit with the start that he got?
Yeah. But if you ask them, they will say that that's the way we play, and they are very unapologetic about it. Especially even Harry Brook, that's worked for him, and that's the baseball attitude. वैसे ही खेलते आ रहे हैं, काम कर रहा है. उनको T20 चैंपियंस हैं, वर्ल्ड कप चैंपियंस हैं, 50 ओवर के. They will not change. ये बात है. I mean, listening to Nas and all the English commentators, they will play the way they are playing, actually, to be honest.
Did they miss Stokes?
100%. 100%. And the thing is, Stokes ka aisa hai, he's a brilliant talent, once in a generation, like Flintoff and Botham. He's won them games. Even recently, he scored 180 plus or something, right? In a recent one day. मैं ये सुनने में मैंने ये सुना है कि because of his knee injury or the niggles around his knee, वो bowling नहीं करेंगे इस World Cup में. So if Ben Stokes is available, largely he'll be available as a batter, which in itself is pretty special. I mean, looking at his recent form, 180 plus score, and he's a talent, as we all know. He may bowl, but the fact is that's where the weakness or the concern in England's team comes in. Ben Stokes, the bowler, being missed, and the overall bowling attack. How will they cope with the Indian conditions?
Okay, I think that's a fair point, Shri. And if we look at the scorecard again, we'll see that they lost wickets at regular intervals, and the highest partnership in innings mein tha between Joe Root and Joss Butler of 70. However, when they lost their 9th wicket, 252 पे उनका 9वां विकेट गिरा था, श्री, और उसके बाद उन्होंने 30 रन और ऐड किए. तो ऐसा लगा कि at the break time, England would have a bit of a momentum, although well below par the score that they got. But I think वो जो 30 रन उन्होंने लास्ट में ऐड किए, ऐसा लगा कि बहुत ही crucial होगा. Let's quickly talk about the New Zealand bowling, Shri, before we move on to their batting. There is talk, I mean, all the commentators were saying that they were very impressed with the captaincy of Tom Latham because of the lack of resources he had. What do you have to say about his captaincy, Shri?
Very impressive. In short, but he marshaled his resources really well. I mean, Kane Williamson and Lockie Ferguson का जो absence है वो महसूस नहीं होने दिया. Strategy was pretty good. Fielders were at the right place. The bowling, I mean, Trent bowled, I think he started off a bit expensive, but they backed it up pretty quickly. I mean, if you look at it, Trent bowled का I think पहला 1-2 ओवर कुछ 20 रन गया है शायद से.
Right.
But 10 ओवर में उन्होंने सिर्फ 48 runs दिए हैं. So you can see the rest of the 8 overs, he's not given that many runs. So the field placing and the bowling, line and length, proper. Nothing fancy about it. Matt Henry, I feel, is a very good talent. I mean, I think the limelight is taken by Lockie Ferguson for his sheer speed and all. But Matt Ferguson is equally, Matt Henry is equally quick. He's equally rapid, not as fast as Lockie, but he's a talent that New Zealand should treasure, and he'll be a key spearhead in there. Best bowler was, I think, I mean, even though he didn't take too many wickets, you've got Mitchell Santner, 37 runs, 10 overs, and 2 wickets. And I think that was the main sort of a leadership role that Mitchell Santner played in the bowling that kept England in check. So Mitchell Santner की बात हमें जरूर करनी चाहिए. And बाकी लोग ने अच्छा अपना काम किया. रचिन रविंद्र थोड़े एक्सपेंसिव रहे, 76 runs दे दिया है उन्होंने. Glenn Phillips is a very useful bowler. Let's not forget him as well. So I think we touched upon it in our previous episode. You told me, or you were asking me, batsmen bowling a bit as well, like for India in 2011 World Cup.
Yeah.
So this World Cup, I've already seen certain key contributions from batsmen who can bowl a bit. Right. Iftikhar for Pakistan is again a good example, and now Glenn Phillips here as well.
Right. In fact, Santner के बारे में अगर थोड़ा और बात करें, श्री, a very unheralded spinner, no? Of course, लोग बहुत कहते हैं कि वो विक्टोरी के मोल्ड में है, और maybe the next the rightful heir to the legacy of Vittori. But what are his? I mean, he comes out as a very innocuous kind of bowler, श्री, no? ज़्यादा वो turn नहीं होती है उसकी ball, mostly straight जाती है, थोड़ी बहुत turn होती है. But he seems to always come up with these crucial figures. Even against India, I remember T20 World Cup जो 2016 में इंडिया में हुआ था. If you remember, he helped India bowl out for 76. I mean, get bowled out for 76 or something. So, what do you think is are Santner's strengths? Why is he so successful?
Simple action, regular consistency in terms of line and length. What he does is he doesn't have like fancy deliveries like the dusra or the flipper, or he bowls his usual stock delivery. Some of it, turns a bit, and most of it will go with the line. So the batsman is basically left guessing कि कौन सा deviate करेगा और कौन सा सीधा आएगा अंदर की तरफ, मतलब with the arm जैसे बोलते हैं ना lefties के साथ. One main skill that he manipulates is the speed. तो वो थोड़ा तेज और थोड़ा धीमी गति से मतलब चेंज करते रहते हैं मिचेल सैंटनर. सो दैट इज द की थिंग दैट मेक्स हिम really special, really sort of consistent and stable in one day internationals. So that if you're asking me what's so special about him, it's the speed and the consistency.
Yeah. Okay. And I think mentioned to Glenn Phillips also. He picked up 2 big wickets of Moeen Ali and Root. So I think what if you look at the scorecard, you'll see regular wickets being taken by New Zealand. I think that is what helped them restrict England to 282. And I mean, this kind of a batting attack on Indian pitches to be restricted to 282. I think great credit to Shri, to the New Zealand bowlers. No, so we move on, Shri, to the batting, and I mean, it was absolutely gobsmacking, to see them score 283 in just 37 overs for the loss of only 1 wicket. They started off decently, England. उन्होंने, I think, Bill Young को out किया, although a bit lucky to be caught down the leg side. But what do you have to say about Rachin Ravindra first? Of course, Devon Conway also played amazingly, but let's throw some light on Rachin Ravindra, Shri.
Yeah, I mean, what a revelation. Everyone's been gobsmacked by the innings. I mean, he scored, 123 of 96 deliveries. And सब यही कह रहे हैं कि he reminds them of young Yuvraj Singh. A lot of people said it. Even Harsha Bhogle was saying it. So that is something, the crispness of his stroke making. One stroke that stood out, I think I might have discussed this with you or not, I'm not sure, is the shot, aggressive shot, the hook shot towards the leg side of Mark Wood.
Yes.
One thing that stood out in that shot was the time that he had. He was not rushed. As we know, Mark Wood is an express bowler, and Rachin Ravindra did not feel rushed. He held his position and he hit that shot pretty comfortably. So everyone was pretty taken aback by that sheer talent. It's been said that he's had some exposure playing in India. I mean, his father being a software techie, if I'm not wrong, from Bangalore, has gotten him to India to play and get exposed to the Indian pitches. And obviously, he's come with New Zealand under 19 as well. I think he played for under 19 just before the 2019 World Cup or something. So he's transformed from there. So exposure to Indian wickets, obviously his sheer talent and training, dedication, everything's come up. And obviously the name has to be having some effect, Rachin, Rahul Dravid, and Sachin's Pomantau, like the combination.
Yes. And I think you very rightly pointed out by you that he has seems to have a lot of time, something that we always associate with even Rohit Sharma as well. And I think his back foot play is very good, is what I also observed. And even against spinners, he and Devon Conway just didn't let the spinners settle in. Moeen Ali ने 9.2 overs में 60 रन दिए और आदिल रशीद ने 7 ओवर में 47 रन. तो I mean, these are very good one-day bowlers. Especially Adil Rashid is someone who has made a big name for himself. He's a bankable bowler for England. और दोनों 6 रन से ज़्यादा प्रति ओवर उन्होंने runs दिए हैं और they didn't let the spinners just settle down. So I think that was the key in the middle overs. And of course, Devon Conway का जो record है against England in all formats is very good. What do you have to say about Devon Conway? And what do you think his importance is to the New Zealand side?
I think he's the spearhead. He's the spearhead in the sense that he's got the exposure using the CSK experience, especially. So he's very familiar with the pitches and how to manipulate the field in Indian conditions. So that's very important. Devon Conway's aggressive approach, smart shot selection, and the balance on the batting stance is very key. So these are some aspects that make him very special. He's equally good in both sides. He obviously, being a lefty, favors the off a lot as well, but he's equally good. So if Kane Williamson, I'm not sure what's his status at this moment. Devon Conway has to lead the batting. And then obviously you've got young Rachin Ravindra to obviously support him as well. Now, let's see. I think Rachin Ravindra has to play now that he's scored that century. Henna. It's very tough to leave him out. So because of Lockie Ferguson, Kane Williamson's absence, he had to come in. I think they will obviously keep him. And Will Young will go out.
I think Williamson might still, I think Ken Williamson might still sit out for maybe at least one and maybe two more games till he completely recovers. That's what I'm getting to here. So, a note on England's bowling, Shri. Chris Woakes बहुत rusty लगा. Sam Curran started off with 2 maidens and a wicket, but then he also got smacked a bit. Mark Wood, it's interesting to talk about him because he has pace, but I don't know on Indian wickets how he's going to fare. And also, Shri, please comment a little bit on the pitch, because in the daytime it seemed the ball was gripping a bit. It wasn't really probably coming onto the bat that nicely, or maybe the New Zealand bowlers were smart enough, or I don't know. So please comment, because in the evening the ball was coming on very nicely. So what do you think? Firstly, please comment a bit on the bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that stood out was Mark Wood's performance. It's been advised that his strike rate and his overall stats in India is not that fancy. If you look at his strike rate, or not strike rate, just the overall statistics for this particular game, 5 overs for 55 runs. ऐसा लग रहा था T20 चल रहा है. ये तो मतलब ये तो वनडे है ना, मतलब. So Mark Wood के एक्सप्रेस पेस को ऐसे उन्होंने मारा है. I mean, Rachin or Devon ने. So I mean, he's been hit for 11 runs per over. I mean, that's something that we have to talk about. Is pace just enough, or is there some sort of a line and length and pace combination that you need to have? So, I mean, Haris Rauf seems to be doing a lot better, although he played against a weaker opposition. But Mark Wood has to get his, radar correct. So that's number one. He has to get his radar correct. I don't know what's the situation with Jofra Archer. If they have to play him so that there's some extra fire in their attack. Chris Woakes, I mean, he has his days. Unless the ball is moving or, talking a bit, Chris Woakes could be a bit inefficient.
And how about the wicket? How did you think it played out in the evening? Was there a drastic change between daytime and the evening time?
I think the way New Zealand played, they didn't take it too deep as well. I mean, because of net run rate, I think their approach, which was so aggressive, was obviously keeping in mind the net run rate, although we are still in the early stages. But because every team is playing each other, net run rate will have a factor, just like in the IPL. So they have taken a huge advantage. So what I'm trying to say is, because they didn't take it beyond 40 overs, I think due factor was not reported. So there was not much changes. Yes, new ball under the lights could do a bit, but that's also first 2 overs, 3 overs, or 4 overs maximum. So there was not such drastic changes reported, at least by the commentators.
Right. Okay. So England have a bit of thinking now to do before they play their next match. Quickly, if we can talk about the Pakistan-Netherlands game, Shri, before we move on to the preview of India-Australia. So, of course, Pakistan started off a bit shakily. They lost their top 3 batsmen very early in the game, but there was a partnership between Saud Shakil and Rizwan. And ultimately, again, there was a bit of a stutter in the middle, but they ended up making 286, which I think was never going to be challenging for the Netherlands. Although Netherlands की batting ने थोड़ा दम दिखाया definitely, और एक partnership अच्छा था between Delide and Vikramjit Singh. So, but overall, Shri, how do you see Pakistan's performance? Because there was a talk even amongst some of the Pakistani media that they will probably take a very unpredictable route of losing out to minnows and then beating the top teams and then stuttering and making it to the semis. But they've started off on a winning note. So, how do you rate Pakistan's performance today? I mean, yes.
I mean, from India's perspective, if they win against the minnows, it's good, because they'll have that sense of confidence in them, which can, undo their. But let's that's just on a humorous note. It's always good to see them perform well. Now against Netherlands, there was a few hiccups. I mean, if you look at the initial batting order, they have concerns about Fakhar Zaman. He's not had a 50 in the last 10 innings or something like that. So that we have to look into. He got out pretty cheaply as well. Imam Ulak, I mean, again, the way he got out, pulling was again, he was not well prepared as well. Then we have Babar Azam. Okay, Babar Azam, even Pakistani experts were not so, concerned about it because he's the number one batter right now and he's got all the talent. So just a one-off thing. So they're not concerned. When it comes to Rizwan and Saud Shakil was a breakthrough. I mean, World Cup debut, what a talent. And he can take them forward. Saud Shakil, Rizwan, Babar Azam, these three people can be like really, and obviously Iftikhar can, be the stabilizing factor there. So another bright spot was Nawaz and Shadab. They're bowling all rounders. We have to see that they lend a good balance as well. The only problem is that they have some concerns about Shadab's bowling form. He's not been bowling well. So he's been bowling a lot of long hops and full tosses. Asia Cup, you have seen that already. So if Shadab is able to bowl better with the partnership that they had, Shadab and Nawaz, that was a bright spot. So I would say that it was a good game for Pakistan with a few hiccups. They need to work on their top order batting. Fakhar Zaman का बड़ा वो है concern है उनको. They're very their palpitation hota hai Pakistanis ko regarding Fakhar Zaman's form at this stage.
Yeah. And I think, of course, talking about their bowling, I think Haris Rauf bowled well. He picked up a couple of wickets. Shaheen Shah Afridi ko laga thoda sa that he was still trying to work his way through after injury, and his pace also was a bit down. That's what I felt. But of course, Haris Rauf ne काफी अच्छा compliment किया with 3 for 43, and I think all their bowlers chipped in. Their spinners, and Iftikhar Ahmed also chipped in with 3 overs and a wicket in that. And the interesting thing is Hassan Ali Shri, because he's the one who has replaced Naseem Shah in the squad. How do you rate his performance yesterday and going ahead?
Yeah, Hassan Ali very passionate cricketer hai. I mean, he's not the express fast bowler that you expect from Pakistan, but he's fast medium, as they call it. He's very passionate, and that passion takes his bowling performance to a better level at the international level. If you look at his stats, he bowled at 4.71% economy. And 2 wickets he took. So I mean, it's a good performance, a good comeback. मुझे लगा था उनको ज़्यादा time लग सकता है rhythm में आने के लिए, but I think he's come into his own. So he'll be a good stabilizing figure. He can pick up wickets. At the same time, he can be like part of the strategy of attack that Pakistan bowlers always have. So Hassan Ali is a good addition. Again, they will miss Naseem Shah a lot. So that's something that they have to compensate.
Right. So just a word on Holland, Shri. I think they didn't perform too badly. I think with the bat scoring 205, I think was a pretty respectable effort, and it was a good partnership, a sprightly one between Vikramjit Singh and Baz Dilid. I think that helped them get to a respectable score. But anything differently they could have done in this chase, Shri?
I mean, I just wanted to highlight before the batting, I think their bowler, Aryan Dutt, I think something that I stood out. He's a good bowler, a good spinner. I think he can improve his performance. They've got some good medium paces. So, I mean, that's something I want to do. I mean, even Vikramjit Singh bowls well, like those medium paces. So, he's got a good side, actually. They've got a good side. I mean, they can actually punch above their weight on certain days. I mean, in terms of their batting, Vikramjit Singh's batting was pretty good. He's batted really well. Some of the shots are reflective of his attacking mindset. So anything different, they needed some sort of a stabilizing figure, as we spoke about earlier. They needed some like number 3, Colin Ackerman, to do well. But he didn't do. He just scored 17 or something like that. Delede 67. I think he's following in his father's footstep. If I'm not wrong, his father played 20 years ago, in 2003 World Cup, and he did well for Netherlands when we were like, aspiring cricketers still in high school. So I think he's following his father. I think what they need is some good number 3 and number 4. I think number 1, number 2, even the Max O'Dowd, he's an attacking player, although he got out for 5 runs, but he's also an attacking player. But they need good number 3, number 4, so to have that stabilizing effect, because it's a 50-over game.
Yeah.
This batting side is a good batting side for a 20 over game because
Mhm.
they'll go all out, like they will just put their foot on the gas and they will not stop. But you need someone to stop and consolidate from, say, the 20th over to 40th over. So they need, but I think they're doing good for there. No one's expecting much, but as long as they punch above their weight, I think it was a good performance still. They scored what? They scored about 200. So I mean, it's
200.
not like a
Yeah.
massive sort of one-sided game. They gave the fight to Pakistan, and that's what we want from a World Cup, from a Minos team playing a major team.
Absolutely, absolutely. A word on the pitches so far, although a bit too early to say, but any
Yeah,
pattern that you are seeing?
yeah. I mean, I think the tricky part about this is no one can blame India directly because ICC monitors the pitches for these events.
Yeah.
So there is an ICC curator for every game.
Mhm.
So 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 they can't just pinpoint the local authorities. So pitches have been okay. I mean, we can't expect too much. I think the Ahmedabad boundaries are good. I mean, lengthwise, except only one direction, it's a short at 61 or 62
Right.
meters, but otherwise it's good. But the rest of the stadium, being India, like some will favor the batsmen
Yeah.
in terms of the outfields are anyways very
Yeah.
rapid.
Yeah.
Surprising part I wanted to share with you. I mean, I'm not sure whether you noticed today's game, the Afghanistan
Yeah.
in Dharamshala,
Mhm.
the outfield had a lot of sand, the mud
Yeah. Yeah.
patches.
Yes.
So that's something that was a bit of a surprise.
Yes, yes. In fact, because of the heavy rains in Uttarakhand, in the last few months because of the monsoon, and we've had some terrible uh, times which Uttarakhand has seen during monsoons. I think that has also partially or partly resulted in the outfield. In fact, Dharamshala ground was in news before the World Cup started that probably the outfield wasn't ready enough. So yeah, I think something to work on over there. But yeah, quickly to talk about Afghanistan's batting today, Shri, a big letdown, I think, from 112 for two, if I'm not wrong, they have
Yeah,
been dismissed 156, and as we speak, Bangladesh has lost one wicket. In fact,
yeah,
two wickets now.
2 wickets. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so quickly, what do you have to say about Afghanistan's batting, Shri?
Yeah, Afghanistan's batting is not their strong point. That's for sure. They've got some good T20 style batsmen,
Yeah,
but they don't have the lambi race ka ghoda, as they say, for the ODI cricket. So that's something that they have to watch out for. Their bowling is their strong suit.
right,
स्पिन बॉलिंग में बड़े माहिर हैं
right,
मुजीब और राशिद इन सबको लेके इवन नाबी भी जो ऑलराउंडर हैं
yeah,
so I mean even what do you call all the spinners can tonk the ball. Rashid Khan ka to batting ka exploits we all know through IPL, BBL, and all. The batting, as I said, they need similar to Netherlands. Minos का एक ही problem है that they don't have the stabilizing force at
yeah,
number 3, number 4, number 5,
sure,
which the major teams have. They need like someone like a Virat Kohli or a Kane Williamson, Babar Azam, or a Joe Root. That's the
sure,
main sort of a gap
sure,
which separates them from the major teams. And if they get that, if you notice something, they are all able to get attacking batsmen very quickly. They have a lot of those over the top sort of batsmen, but I think Afghanistan, if they want to improve in ODI cricket, they need to have a couple of very good batsmen.
yeah,
It was not a good effort, as you can see. They got out three fairly simple deliveries. I mean, Shakib Al Hassan is bowling the arm ball, and
uncle.
they're just missing it. Off stump mein ja raha hai pura, and they're just missing, playing the wrong line.
Hmm.
So it's a bit of a disappointment. I mean, we wanted a bit more fight, at least 220, 250 banate. But although now, as we speak, as we just discussed, Bangladesh is 36 for 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So let's see how that pans out. And of course, Sri Lanka South Africa game has also started, but of course
yeah,
we'll discuss that in another podcast hopefully. But
yeah,
yeah, coming to the main the highlight of this podcast is going to be
yeah,
the India Australia game. So many
yeah,
say now that the World Cup really in the real terms is starting tomorrow.
yeah.
So Shri, how do you look at India Australia? Gill has not yet been ruled out, but he has dengue and he seems to be a doubt for tomorrow's game. So people are saying that in case if he doesn't play, so in place of him, probably either KL Rahul will open or they'll bring in Ishan Kishan. So well, let's assume that Gill is not playing. So how do you rate India's chances if Gill is not playing?
I think that's a very good point. The Gill is not playing, but I think India is prepared for it.
Mhm.
You have Ishan Kishan coming in, and they might open with Ishan Kishan. or KL Rahul, as you indicated earlier. Ishan Kishan could be like the surprise package if they put him up the order. Otherwise, usually कभी कभी middle order में भी खेल लेते हैं वो तो. KL Rahul का role ज़्यादा top order में रहता है. But how are they going to play these two is going to be the key factor there. But I don't think Shubman. Yes, we will miss Shubman Gill because the red hot form he's in. But the difference in terms of the impact on the game, I don't think we will be too bothered about it. The management and Rohit Sharma, they will go full steam ahead. I will still say favorites, India. I mean, World Cup यहीं से शुरू होता है Indians के लिए and all the cricket crazy fans. So let's see how. I mean, you can't rule out Australia ever. I think Stoinis का थोड़ा issue लग रहा है ना. I mean, have you heard about that? Like Stoinis का क्या? I mean, he's a very good player, all rounder. So that can have some interesting sort of impact on the Australian team.
Yeah, in fact, Stoinis is touch and go for the first game. We are not really sure as to whether he'll play, but well, the coach has said that if fit, then Stoinis and Green could both play together. Basically, he has a hamstring niggle which he picked up in one of the ODIs against India in the previous series. So yeah. What do you think Australia's makeup would be in terms of their bowling attack? Do you think that they're going to go with an extra spinner, or just Zampa would be enough with Labuschagne and Maxwell to fill in?
Yeah. I think Zampa is their main sort of like spinner. I think वो अच्छे bowling कर लेते हैं limited overs में. बड़े tricky हैं in terms of the variation. थोड़ा बहुत गोगली और वो सब faster one डालते हैं. Maxwell will come in.
Yeah.
Maxwell is more than capable of raising the bar as a batsman who can bowl wala category, I think. So Maxwell will take that. And when obviously you've got Cam Green, Travis Head, sometimes they use him. Sometimes they use him. They're not as often as Glenn Maxwell, but their bowling makeup will be pretty stock standard as such. Mitchell Marsh, he's going to play an important role as an all-rounder if in case Stoinis is absent. So Zampa will be the key spinner.
And who do you think has more power in the middle order, Sri?
Yeah, I mean, that's where Stoinis' absence will be felt. That's why I was indicating that his injury is going to have a slight impact on them. You got Maxwell, obviously the big show coming in. Mitch Marsh depends on, in a way, sometimes they can surprise us with where he bats. But Mitch Marsh, being Mitch Marsh, is the power hitter. Alex Carey, never rule him out. He's a good batsman. Josh Inglis.
Yeah.
He can tong the ball. Like BBL, he's done really well. So those are some key figures there. I think their approach has been dictated by Travis Head of late.
Right.
If you see his strike rate and if you see his approach, he's more close to the baseball approach. So if we can control, if Indians can control Travis Head, and obviously.
But I think Travis Head is injured right now.
Yeah, Travis Head is injured. Yes. So, but I don't know. I didn't see any massive sort of announcement coming from Australia as to what's happening with him. Have you heard anything?
No, I'm pretty sure that he's not playing the first couple of games at least.
Couple of games, right? Yeah. So if in that
hand injury during the South Africa series.
Yes. So in that case, I think obviously everything falls on Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne. So that will be a key part. But the recent past 12 months, Travis has been their go-to player in terms of being the aggressor. So in his absence, you've got a lot of players who can make up the aggression. Let's see how David Warner.
I was about to come to David Warner. David Warner has been under the pump since I think before the Ashes started, and he had a decent Ashes series, obviously much better than the last time that he played in England, but he hasn't gone on to make a score of significance. But then in the one-day series in South Africa as well as here, he has done very well, and he actually comes into the World Cup with good form. So how do you see Warner performing in this World Cup, Sri?
I think Warner could be a stable batsman when it comes to scoring runs. People have sort of dropped down their expectations from Warner, but he's got all that experience and he's still that attacking batsman. He's got all the skill. So Warner अच्छा खेलेगा. Like I'm talking about I'm basing it on the recent form. So Warner acha khelega. So if Warner starts well, then the Australian team has a good platform. So he's under the radar in the sense that no one's utna spotlight us pe nahi hai. Jitna, क्योंकि he's been under the criticism for a long time now, so he will do well.
Okay, let's switch our attention to India now, Shri. Of course, we're coming on a high now after winning the Asia Cup and the one-day series against Australia. Of course, Gill's omission will be a bit of a setback because he's been in supreme form. But how important, Shri, are Rohit and Virat to India's performance in the World Cup?
Crucial, very, very, very important. They have to take the pressure on their shoulders because other batsmen, obviously lesser experienced than them, they will have their moments. When Shubman Gill comes in, Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, they will have their moments throughout the tournament. It's a long tournament. But Virat and Rohit, they have to be consistent. If they are consistent, India will go far in the tournament.
Right. And India's bowling, what do you see, Shri? Are they going to go with 3 spinners tomorrow, including Ashwin, or do you think we'll go with a seeming all-rounder in the form of Shardul Thakur?
Could be a seeming all-rounder. Depends on the pitch. Obviously, it's a tough call to make, but looking at that wicket, it's going to be Shardul Thakur most likely, I feel. I think the key role has to be played by the fast bowlers. And then Kuldeep Yadav has to come in and, if he can continue his Asia Cup form, then that will be it. That will be the approach.
And do you think, Shri, if India bats first, do we need to take a slightly more aggressive approach to our batting in the middle overs? Or do you think we will probably settle for a 300 to 320 score?
Definitely 320. 300 to 320 mark, that's the minimum. Anything below that, it's going to put immense pressure on the bowlers because the Aussie batsmen, they're going to come hard. David Warner
I
will
think
start.
A lot will depend on the pitch also, but we're assuming that it will be a pretty good batting track, although Chennai traditionally has been known for low and slow turners. But
so if you are able to bat first and set a good target, then the second innings becomes a bit trickier for the Aussies. But if the other way around, then obviously all the pressures on the senior batsmen Rohit and Virat. So I mean, it changes how India plays is also dependent on if they are batting first or second.
Right.
So if they're setting the target, then all the younger players can come in. Do you reckon Shreyas Iyer is going to play tomorrow?
I think so. I think Shreyas Iyer will play instead of Sky. Although personally, I feel Sky, as I said in the last podcast, he gives us that cushion. If he really bats well in the middle overs, he gives us that extra cushion of 30 to 40 runs because his power hitting is just something that is crucial. But I think we'll probably go with Iyer. Iyer also had 100 the last time he played. So I think I'm pretty confident with the batting now, which I wasn't before the Asia Cup. But we have got some good performances from our younger players, so I think we are pretty set. And as you said, we are slight favorites, but yes, Australia can never be discounted. So I think on and on it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere at the Chepauk Stadium in Chennai, and I'm sure that we're going to cover that in detail in the next podcast that comes out. So
just wanted to ask you one thing though, just wanted to get your opinion on Ravi Jadeja. What do you think about him, as a batsman now? I mean, there was some concerns about his batting. The bowling's been good, fielding is obviously top class. What do you think about his batting?
Yeah, I think Ravi Jadeja, well, his spot is not at all in doubt. So I think from that perspective, he will feel very secure. But yes, he has to start performing, and I think he just needs to back his instincts because usually he comes at a stage when only 10 balls or 15 balls are left. Maybe if a time comes when he's coming in the 40th over, he has about 10 overs to play with. He might get that time to settle for a couple of overs and then start hitting. So, but yes, he will be under pressure to perform, and I think he knows that he has to start delivering. But I believe that as long as the Indian top order performs well, top and middle order performs well, then I think his failures will be concealed, and but then he has to keep backing that up with his performance and bowling. And I mean, I'm of the opinion, Shri, that as long as his batting and bowling is not terribly wrong, or terribly bad. Just on the basis of his fielding, I think I'll put him in, because we do not have too many excellent fielders in our team.
Yeah.
Hardik Pandya struggles with his back injury that he had earlier, and he doesn't tend to dive much. Neither does Jasprit Bumrah. So I think we don't have too many fielders who can dive or be fast to the ball. So I think Jadeja is someone who really, I think, has an edge on that over in that aspect. So I think he should be there. So, but yeah, he will be under pressure to perform with the bat. So yeah, I think with that we have covered most of the points here. But yeah, one last point that I'd like to discuss with you, Sri, about the crowds. It was disappointing to see the lack of numbers in the England New Zealand game, especially. Of course, it's a huge stadium, 120,000 capacity. So even if you have 25,000 to 30,000 people, it still looks pretty empty. So, but do you think we could have done something differently as organizers for this? What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were 30,000 people, right?
Yeah.
30K at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was okay, I think, for an opener. Yeah, I mean, wish to see more. I mean, growing up, we are used to seeing packed stands when Sachin and Dravid were playing. I mean, there was never an empty seat. So that's a bit of a concern. There were some, at least in the Australian digital media, I wanted to share with you through this podcast, that there were some questions. I was a bit alarmed by it, saying that is this the last one of the last few editions of the World Cup, ODI World Cup? Will we have the next World Cup, or will we have 20 World Cup in the 2030s? So those are the questions being raised in the Western media. So I think there's another opinion. Let me share with you that maybe one day bilateral will cease to exist, as we know, and it'll be only World Cups for 50 overs. So every 4 years, World Cup teams will come and play.
Right.
So, and obviously, the reason I'm mentioning this is obviously the crowd engagement, which is linked to your question. Crowds are simply not coming. Imagine from the 90s and 2000s, from when we used to watch and ODI cricket was a king, there was no social media, and people are getting their fix through, they don't have that much time or attention. So people just catch up on a few podcasts or a few, like, they watch some Crick Buzz or ESPN, and they just get their match summary from there. I think this is what I think I wanted to share with you. Gaurav Kapoor was interviewed by the Great Cricketer podcast, and that's what he said. People just want to get a summary and analysis in one go.
True.
And that's why people, instead of watching ball to ball, which we used to watch during 90s and 2000s, people are not watching ball to ball. And that's also reflected in attendance in the stadium. So I think when India comes in, you'll obviously see better attendance. And that's going to be the nature of this World Cup. 2 third-party teams, it will be very tricky to get the full
The
audience.
other thing, Sri, yeah, it's a very valid point that you have raised. And the other thing, Sri, I think other reason which I feel why the crowds are not there is also that the lack of quality amongst the other teams, apart from the big three. I mean, you look at Sri Lanka, you look at South Africa, you look at even Pakistan for that matter. They the kind of players they had in the 90s and 2000s, they don't seem to be producing that quality of players. In fact, I would say India's quality of players is now much better than what we saw in the 90s. For us it was either Tendulkar or maybe at times Ganguly, but then the rest of the team was pretty mediocre, to say the least. So, but then as Sehwag and others came around, and now we have a very good bowling attack as well. With due respect to bowlers like Srinath and Prasad, they could never. They are not of that quality as say a Bumrah or a Shami or even a Mohammad Siraj for that matter. So I think the quality of teams like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, I mean not Bangladesh, sorry, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Australia, South Africa has gone down quite a lot. I mean, even if you look at Sri Lanka, South Africa today, then there's not much of a crowd here in Delhi. So I think maybe the lack of competitive teams has also hampered the attendance.
Yeah.
Is what
I would just, I mean, you made a very valid point. I'll just maybe defend Srinath there. He was my favorite bowler growing up.
Yeah.
So he was a quality bowler, but he didn't have any support. And I think early in his career, Kapil Dev stole his prime years as well. But yeah, Srinath was an awesome bowler who's a match referee, by the way, in this World Cup.
Yeah.
I,
Of course,
I still get
Srinath.
very nostalgic seeing him.
Yeah. No, of course, as a teenager, I would copy Srinath and Prasad's actions. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
no disrespect to them. They were good bowlers in their own way at that time. But yeah, like now, of course, we have.
Better team. I mean, look at India. Financially, we are a superpower. I mean, talent-wise, we can field two teams
Yeah.
and we can send them to different tours. I mean, that's. I mean, this was unimaginable in the 90s,
Yeah.
where we used to struggle to have a good quality batsmen. You know, when Sachin used to hold our dreams together until Dravid and Ganguly came. And that's how we stabilized a bit. But yeah, but your point regarding other teams are completely valid. Sri Lanka are a pale shadow of what they were in the late 90s and 2000s when Sangakkara and Jayawardena, Atapattu obviously in the late 90s, Sangakkara, Jayawardena, and you got Dilshan, Malinga. So that was the last good team that Sri Lanka had. And now without Matthews and I think Tikshana is also not there due to injury or something.
Tikshana
So
is not there, I think, for the first
yeah,
couple of games.
yeah. So I mean, their captain right now, Shanaka, is not in a good batting form at all. The way he got bowled in the finals,
Right.
he's not scored any runs. So he's just there for the leadership factor, and that too is holding by a very thin sort of a thread. So
Right.
your point regarding the quality of teams, I think Pakistan is still good, putting up a fight. They have a good bowling lineup, so Pakistan's still okay. If the
Yeah.
batting holds up, Pakistan's still okay. South Africa is still okay, I feel. It's not that bad. South Africa has a good bowling lineup, although they will miss Nokia.
Yeah.
But if Rabada steps up, you've got Janssen, who's a very good bowler. So, I mean, and Maharaj is there. And, you know, so the other teams can put up a fight and maybe prove to the world that
Right.
there is some fight left in the World Cup. You know, I think we need that. We need the other teams to step up, and we need Sri Lanka to put up a fight. Now, as we speak, I think they've taken one wicket of South Africa,
Yeah. Yeah.
47 for
Yeah,
one.
so South Africa is
Yeah,
47 for 1 in 9.5
yeah,
overs. So I think a
yeah,
decent start for the Sri Lankan. So
yeah.
yeah, so with that, we will wrap up today's podcast, Sri. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs regarding the various points that we've discussed. And we hope to come in time to probably do a preview of India Pakistan. But if not, then we'll do definitely a review of India Pakistan. Please do bear with us. Guys, because we both are working professionals, so it does take some time for us to come with these podcasts, but we hope to be regular and consistent and give you a good quality coverage of the World Cup that is happening and even going beyond that. So thank you so much, Sri, and looking forward to the next podcast then. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I would like to request whoever is watching our podcast to just like, subscribe, and share with your friends and families. Just help us to grow and maybe share the love for the game with all of you and more people. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sid.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sri, and thank you to the audience, and see you next time. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
See ya.